We've had an unbelievable chemistry.
Really?
Sitting next to me right now is the best singer in the world.
This is not a drill. Clive Davis is dead. Right now, everybody line up, oldest to youngest. What happened? Get the biopics out now. He cannot hurt you anymore. He has no power over you.
For years, people have wondered about the mysterious note Whitney Houston handed to Brandy in front of Clive Davis. Just hours later, Whitney was found unresponsive in her hotel room. And ever since then, fans have been asking the same question. What did that note actually say? The mystery has sparked endless discussion, but no verified answer has ever been confirmed. Now, rumors are flying about a possible documentary exploring Clive Davis's long career and the experiences of artists who worked with him. Brandy has long kept the contents of the note private, but online speculation continues, with some people claiming it could point to unanswered questions surrounding Whitney's passing. Those claims remain unverified, and no evidence has confirmed them. Let's get right into it, because this is one of the biggest music mysteries people are still talking about. Clive Davis has officially left behind an incredible legacy. His publicist shared that the legendary music executive was at his home in Manhattan, New York, where he reached the end of a remarkable life after dealing with ongoing respiratory health challenges. His family released a statement saying, "To the world, our father was the iconic music legend whose vision, instinct, and relentless pursuit of excellence shaped the soundtrack of countless lives. He discovered, mentored, and championed the greatest artists in modern music history, leaving an indelible mark on culture that will endure for generations." At 94, Clive Davis leaves behind decades of influence that changed the music industry forever. The news has sparked mixed reactions. Many people are celebrating the enormous impact he had on countless artists, while others are revisiting long-standing debates and controversies connected to his career, making his legacy one of the most talked-about topics in music history. On the other side, critics have argued for years that Clive Davis helped shape a music industry that often left artists with unfair contracts and limited control over their earnings. Many have pointed to cases involving successful acts like TLC and Toni Braxton, who publicly faced serious financial struggles despite selling millions of records. Those stories sparked ongoing debates about how profits were divided behind the scenes. Some critics have also claimed that powerful record executives used fear, pressure, and behind-the-scenes influence to maintain control over artists. These allegations have circulated for years, but many of the more extreme claims remain unverified and should be treated as speculation rather than established fact.
He's like my dad in a lot of ways. Once he and I got together, I knew that the combination was going to be magic.
Brandy also saw just how complicated the music business could be through her close relationship with Whitney Houston. Clive first met Whitney at the Sweetwater nightclub in 1983 and signed her to Arista Records when she was only 19 years old. Early on, he became one of her biggest mentors and played a major role in introducing her to key people across the industry. The two worked closely on Whitney's self-titled debut album, which went on to sell around 25 million copies worldwide. Whitney once admitted they often disagreed over which song should be released, but she also described Clive as her industry father and said she appreciated his guidance, experience, and knowledge throughout her remarkable career. As Whitney Houston's career reached incredible heights, some reports suggested that her professional relationship with Clive Davis became more complicated. With her growing success came bigger creative differences, and many fans believed Whitney wanted more freedom to make her own artistic choices. Those reported disagreements became a frequent topic of discussion behind the scenes. By 2012, Whitney and Clive were no longer believed to be as close as they once been. During that period, one of the people Whitney trusted most was Brandy. The two first met in 1995 and quickly built a strong friendship, with Whitney becoming both a mentor and a source of encouragement throughout Brandy's early career. Because of that close bond, Whitney helped make sure Brandy was cast as Cinderella in the 1997 television movie, allowing Whitney to play her fairy godmother on screen while spending more time together. So when Whitney unexpectedly walked onto the set during an interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clive Davis, everyone assumed she was simply there to show her support and surprise her longtime friend. Whitney gave most of her attention to Clive Davis and Monica, even mentioning that she had experienced a frightening incident in the water earlier that day. Before leaving, she quietly handed Brandy a note and gave Clive a hug. She also called over her daughter, Bobby Christina, to greet Clive, which gave Brandy a brief moment to look at the note without drawing attention. That quiet exchange has fueled speculation ever since.
Whitney Houston. Now, I knew you had a connection to her, but I didn't realize, and you write in the book, that shortly before her death, you had a lengthy phone call with her. What was that?
It mattered so much to me because I got a chance to tell her everything I hadn't told her, just how much she inspired me, how much I loved her, her impact in my life. And yeah, it was an emotional conversation. I didn't know it was going to be my last time speaking to her.
After the interview wrapped up, Brandy and Whitney reportedly spoke on the phone for nearly 3 hours. Just a short time later, Whitney was gone, making Brandy one of the last people known to have had a long conversation with her. Ever since then, fans have wondered what was written in the note and why Whitney felt it was so important to deliver it in person. Brandy has consistently said she intends to keep the contents of the note private. According to her, Whitney simply expressed that she hoped things would get better. Since Clive Davis left behind a complicated legacy that continues to spark debate, many online have revisited old questions surrounding that moment. However, claims that the note proves wrongdoing or confirms long-standing rumors remain unverified, and Brandy has not publicly confirmed those theories. According to online speculation, one reason Brandy chose to stay quiet for so long was concerned about speaking publicly while Clive Davis remained one of the most influential figures in the music industry. Those claims have circulated for years, but Brandy has not publicly confirmed that this was the reason for keeping the note private. When Brandy took part in the 2012 interview, she and Monica were working together again and preparing to release their duet, It All Belongs to Me. At the time, Monica still had a strong professional relationship with Clive, and reports suggested she kept him informed before moving forward with the collaboration alongside Brandy.
What was it? What did you see in him? What made him different? Why Clive Davis?
Wisdom is know-how. For a lot of artists, I wanted the guidance. I wanted to know, what made a hit record, and what made me, special, and it could be any song.
Some reports also claim that Clive supported the project because he wanted to strengthen his professional relationship with Brandy and potentially discuss future opportunities with her. According to longtime fan theories, Whitney learned about the situation and decided to visit Brandy before the interview to share some personal advice and words of encouragement. However, there is no verified evidence confirming that this was the reason for Whitney's visit, and those claims remain speculation. According to long-running fan theories, the note Whitney handed to Brandy included a personal warning to be careful about the music business and to think carefully before signing any major agreements. Brandy has never confirmed what was actually written, so claims about the note's contents remain speculation. Even so, the mystery has kept people talking for years. When Whitney's career was just getting started, Clive Davis helped assemble much of the team that worked around her. It was presented as a way to surround her with experienced professionals who could help launch her career. However, some critics have argued that having so many long-time associates involved also meant key business decisions stayed closely connected to the label's leadership. Those opinions have been widely debated, but are not universally accepted. Fans have often pointed to Whitney and missed opportunities to record with Michael Jackson as an example. In 1987, while Michael was preparing to release I Just Can't Stop Loving You from his Bad album, Whitney was reportedly interested in recording the duet with him. The two were friends, and many believe their voices would have made an unforgettable collaboration. However, the duet never happened, with scheduling conflicts cited as the reason. A similar situation reportedly came up years later with If I Told You That. Whitney was said to be interested in having Michael join the track, and reports suggested he was open to the idea. In the end, the collaboration didn't move forward, with scheduling issues and other production challenges given as the explanation. Those missed opportunities have continued to fuel discussion among fans who still wonder what could have been. According to some accounts, Whitney believed those canceled collaborations with Michael Jackson were more than simple scheduling issues. Some fans have long speculated that working closely with Michael, who had significant creative control over his music and owned rights to much of his catalog, might have inspired Whitney to seek greater control over her own career. However, those claims have never been publicly confirmed and remain part of ongoing fan discussion. Instead of recording with Michael, Whitney later teamed up with Aretha Franklin on a duet while both artists were signed to Arista Records. Some critics have argued that the decision also benefited the label, while others viewed it as a natural collaboration between two legendary singers. The reasons behind those choices have been debated for years, with no definitive explanation ever confirmed. Whitney continued to push for more influence over her music and business decisions, eventually signing a reported $100 million agreement with Arista Records in 2001. The deal attracted major attention, with reports claiming she received a substantial upfront payment and that additional compensation would depend on future releases and other contract terms. Industry insiders also shared different opinions about how the agreement was structured, but many of those reports were never officially verified, leaving fans to continue debating what really happened behind the scenes. Some critics have claimed that Arista Records gradually reduced promotional support for Whitney's later projects, while pointing to changes in the music industry and digital piracy as factors affecting sales. Others have argued that these business decisions made it much harder for her to regain the momentum she once had. Those claims have remained a topic of debate, and there is no public evidence confirming they were part of a deliberate strategy. As Whitney faced personal and professional challenges, reports suggested she still had significant financial obligations tied to her recording agreement. Around the same time, changes in her health affected her vocal performances, making it more difficult to maintain the demanding schedule that had defined much of her career. Even so, she continued working and remained an admired artist around the world. Over the years, online rumors have circulated about contract terms and whether the label stood to benefit after Whitney's passing. However, those claims have never been substantiated with credible evidence. Likewise, some people have questioned why Clive Davis continued hosting his annual pre-Grammy event at the same hotel after the news broke. Clive later said the gathering went ahead at the request of Whitney's family, and that it became a place where many in the music community came together to remember and honor her legacy.
That's my dad, right? It's my dad. I'll see you later. I'm going up to the mom. Come see her. Come say hi to Uncle. Come see her. Come say hi to your goddad.
According to some online theories, Whitney believed she needed to leave behind something that could explain her thoughts if anything unexpected happened. Those claims have never been verified, and the true meaning of the note she gave Brandy remains known only to those directly involved. That mystery continues to spark discussion among fans to this day. The events surrounding Whitney's final years also brought renewed attention to broader conversations about artist treatment within the music industry. As people revisit her story, many have questioned how major labels and executives handled the careers of some of their biggest stars. At the same time, others continue to recognize Clive Davis for the artists he helped introduce to the world. His legacy remains deeply debated, with supporters highlighting his influence on music history, while critics point to long-standing concerns about the business practices of the industry he helped shape. As people look back on Whitney's career, many also started revisiting old interviews that had been overlooked for years. In several of those conversations, Whitney openly talked about wanting to have more creative input, saying she cared deeply about the music she released and the direction of her career. Those comments gave fans a different perspective on the challenges she faced as one of the biggest stars in the world. Brandy has also continued to speak with respect about the impact Whitney had on her life. She has often described Whitney as more than just an inspiration, calling her a mentor who offered encouragement during important moments in her career. Even though Brandy has chosen not to reveal the contents of the note, her decision has only added to the mystery surrounding that final exchange. At the same time, people have continued debating how much control artists truly have once they reach the highest levels of the music business. Some believe major labels provide opportunities that would otherwise be impossible, while others argue that success can sometimes come with difficult compromises. Those larger questions have become part of Whitney's story, setting the stage for the next chapter of what happened behind the scenes. One moment that continues to stand out is how carefully Whitney separated her public image from her private struggles. In interviews, she often smiled through difficult questions, but every now and then she hinted that life behind the scenes was far more complicated than most people realized. Those rare comments have led fans to re-watch old footage, searching for details they may have missed the first time around.
Meeting in Beverly Hills in the home of Clive Davis, who was responsible for the murder of Whitney Houston. I said it. His days are numbered.
People who followed her career also point out that Whitney faced enormous pressure throughout her years in the spotlight. Between constant touring, recording, media attention, and expectations from every direction, she was expected to keep delivering at an almost impossible level. That kind of pressure has been discussed by many artists who have described how demanding the entertainment industry can be. As those conversations continued, attention shifted back to the people who were closest to Whitney during different stages of her career. Friends, collaborators, and industry insiders have all shared pieces of their own experiences over the years, sometimes agreeing and sometimes offering very different perspectives. Putting those accounts together creates a far more complex picture than the headlines ever captured, and that's where another surprising chapter begins. Another part of Whitney's story that people still discuss is how much of her career was shaped by the expectations placed on global superstars. As her fame continued to grow, every appearance, every interview, and every new release became headline news. That level of attention meant even routine business decisions were often turned into major public stories. Several people who worked in the industry have spoken over the years about the challenges artists face when balancing creative goals with commercial expectations. Record labels, managers, producers, and performers all have different priorities, and those differences can sometimes lead to disagreements over albums, singles, touring, and the overall direction of a career. Whitney herself acknowledged in interviews that she didn't always see eye to eye with the people around her, even while respecting many of them. Looking back now, fans continue comparing Whitney's journey with those of other legendary performers who also pushed for greater creative freedom. That has led many people to revisit old contracts, interviews, and business decisions in search of a clearer picture of how the music industry operated during that era. As more stories from that time continue to surface, another chapter begins to connect even more pieces of the puzzle. As more people revisited Whitney's career, attention also turned to the way artists were expected to balance personal identity with the image presented to the public. Whitney was often described as someone who wanted her music to speak for itself, yet she also had to navigate constant expectations from the industry, the media, and millions of fans. That balancing act became one of the defining parts of her journey. Over the years, former executives, producers, and performers have shared different perspectives on how major record labels operated during that era. Some praised the support and resources labels provided to build global stars, while others argued that artists sometimes had limited influence over key business decisions. Those differing viewpoints have fueled ongoing discussions about how much control performers really had once they reached the top of the charts.
Oh, you're a very small minority. Because if you knew Whitney better, you knew she was not there to perform.
Yeah.
This was her favorite night of the year. She came out every year. This party was so part of her.
So you're saying
So that the family, we spoke to representatives of Pat, who was her manager, and Gary, who was her brother.
Meanwhile, fans continued revisiting old footage of Whitney alongside Brandy, paying close attention to their friendship and the genuine respect they had for one another. Whether they were appearing together on stage, during interviews, or special events, their connection always seemed authentic. That bond is one reason the mysterious note still captures so much attention, especially as people continue searching for clues hidden in those final public moments together. One detail that keeps resurfacing is how often Whitney spoke about trusting only a small circle of people. Despite being one of the biggest stars on the planet, she rarely let the public see what was happening behind closed doors. Friends who knew her have described someone who valued loyalty above everything else, making that final note to Brandy seem even more significant in the eyes of many fans. Over the years, countless stories have circulated about private conversations Whitney had with with people she trusted. While many of those accounts cannot be verified, they all point to one common theme. Whitney wanted the people closest to her to learn from the challenges she faced throughout her career. That has led many fans to believe she hoped the next generation of artists would be better prepared for the business side of the industry. Brandy has never tried to turn the mystery into headlines, choosing instead to focus on honoring Whitney's memory and the lessons she learned from their friendship. Even after all these years, she has remained careful about what she shares publicly. But there is another interview from around that same period that has caught fans' attention because one unexpected comment raised even more questions than answers. That interview stood out because it reminded people how differently public moments can be interpreted years later. A comment that barely made headlines at the time suddenly took on new meaning as fans revisited old clips with fresh eyes. Some believed it hinted at behind-the-scenes tensions, while others saw it nothing more than a normal disagreement in a fast-moving industry. Without additional evidence, those interpretations remain opinions rather than established facts. Music historians have also noted that Whitney's career reflected many of the challenges artists faced during that era. Creative choices were often shaped by record labels, marketing plans, and commercial expectations. While those partnerships helped produce some of the biggest albums of all time, they also led to ongoing debates about how much influence performers had over the direction of their own careers. Whitney herself occasionally spoke about wanting her music to reflect who she was as an artist. As more archival interviews and performances continue to resurface, fans have started connecting small details that were easy to overlook before. Some of those moments simply highlight Whitney's warmth and generosity, while others reveal how carefully she chose her words whenever conversations turned toward the business side of the industry. One particular exchange from that period has drawn renewed attention because of what Whitney decided to say and what she chose to leave unsaid.
Her body was still upstairs.
But we dedicated the evening. Whitney would have wanted this party to go on any more than the Grammys should stop.
That careful choice of words has become one of the reasons Whitney's interviews continue to be analyzed years later. Instead of making sweeping accusations, she often spoke in broad terms about the importance of protecting her voice, her artistry, and the people she cared about. Those comments have encouraged fans to look beyond the headlines and pay closer attention to what she consistently emphasized throughout her career. People who worked with Whitney have also described her as someone who loved collaborating with other artists and sharing advice with younger performers. Whether she was in the studio, on a film set, or backstage before a performance, she was known for encouraging others to believe in their own talent. Brandy has spoken warmly about that mentorship over the years, explaining how much Whitney's support meant during key moments in her career. Even so, questions about the mysterious note have never completely faded. Since Brandy has chosen to keep its contents private, much of the discussion has been driven by theories rather than confirmed facts. What is clear is that Whitney trusted Brandy enough to hand her something personal during one of their final public encounters, and that decision continues to make people wonder what message she wanted her friend to remember. Critics have argued for years that Clive Davis's approach to the music business often benefited record labels more than the artists themselves. Some former performers have spoken publicly about disputes over contracts, royalties, and ownership of their recordings, while others have credited him with helping launch remarkable careers. Those very different perspectives are a big reason his legacy continues to be debated today. Whitney Houston's story has become part of that larger conversation. Throughout her career, she spoke about creative differences and the pressures that came with being one of the world's biggest stars. At the same time, she also acknowledged the guidance Clive provided during the early stages of her career. Looking back, many fans wish she had enjoyed even greater creative freedom while continuing to share her extraordinary talent with the world. In the end, the mystery surrounding Whitney's note to Brandy remains just that, a mystery. Unless Brandy decides to share what was written, no one outside that private moment knows its true message. Until then, the discussion will continue to be shaped by a mix of public statements, documented events, and personal theories. What do you think about Whitney's legacy, her friendship with Brandy, and the questions that still surround this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves music history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.